All right, so now we are officially underway for another edition of Sunday Market Outlook. It has been a minute. It is July 7th. Um, and like I was mentioning, I think the community really likes the fact that we set the tone because, again, guys, if you get caught on your heels in trading or in life, that's why you're not getting to the success that maybe you can get. Maybe you're just literally like, I don't know if you guys have ever felt that you're so close to cracking the code, whether it is trading, whether it is entrepreneurship, your business, whatever it is. Sometimes we may feel like we're so close to our next breakthrough, and it could be the smallest adjustment, such as preparation, that can absolutely set you apart from the 99% of people out there, right? Because again, if we wait until Monday in the morning when we're like waking up, we're kind of groggy, and then you're like, oh, trade's coming through, let me jump in. Guys, you're gonna get again caught on your heels, and it's gonna be very hard for you to like mentally focus and execute the game plan, right? So how do we prevent that? It all starts with how we treat a Sunday. Because the market's just opened right now. And I think we already got some tap to trade sent out by Joel. So Joel's prepping probably Saturday, right? Because he's like, man, as soon as market opens on Sunday, we're sending some tap to trades, right? Me personally, like I don't touch the charts really on Sundays. I like to wait for those first couple of hours to kick back in, from the closure, and really just kind of see how things play out during London session. Heading into New York session in the morning. But that's really just because I only trade NAS, right? So if you guys are trading forex pairs, even things like gold, we're gonna start analyzing that now. And we see that there are some pretty decent moves, especially with tap to trade, that they're not really looking for big moves that you can catch like as soon as the market opens. But usually guys, again, this may be your first Sunday market outlook call that you've been on, right? Because again, we kind of stopped this for the last couple of weeks, and I know we've had a brand new wave of excited members. So shout out to all the new thousands of people that joined the akashx in the last several days. I mean, it's literally been the biggest growth that we've had as a brand since like, oof, man, a long time. So we knew this day was coming, but it is here, and we're going to keep the fire going, right? And we want to make sure that you guys are, again, prepared this week to get the results so that we can leverage those results to continue building this movement. Because guys, this akashx brand, it's not Josh Swagels, it's not Jenna's, it's not Maddie's, it's not Javed's, it's not even ours. It is your brand. Each and every single one of you guys that are on this Zoom call right now, this is your brand. So let's definitely tap in and make it a great week. But I want to go ahead and shut my mouth for a little bit and let Brent do his thing. Usually, guys, Brent, kicks us off with just looking at the fundamentals or the news, right? Financial news that is going to be impacting the markets this week, because those news events are going to tell us when the market should see those big spikes. And we gotta, again, embrace that type of movement, because that's where we get our big trades. So if you want to cover that, Brent, or anything else in your mind, I know we've kind of been brainstorming some different ways to spice it up on these calls, but I'm gonna let you take the floor a bit, man. Appreciate you for being here too, and let's get it going.
Thanks, bro. For sure, for sure. Yeah, it's been an amazing journey for sure so far here in the akashx, guys. And like you said, this last weekend was just crazy with the promotion. And I mean, you and I, we've been here now for a little bit over a year and a half, and we always say it like joking around, but we know like so many when you joke so much, it's pretty much real. So we've always joked around and saying, "Hey, akashx is like a little baby. It's our baby." Literally this weekend, we all saw our little baby take its first step. Like literally, akashx took its first little baby step now, and now it's off. Now it's gonna turn into a point where if you've had kids before, you know what that means. Once that first step happens, it's running nonstop all over the place. So akashx is about to do that, guys. So again, don't feel like you're late. On the contrary, you are at the perfect time here to take advantage of it. So now everybody will know about akashx. Now is the time to make sure you tell everybody about it. Because if you don't do it, a couple months, somebody else will tell you about it. Hey, you know about akashx? You'll be like, I've been here for a year. I just never thought of telling you. Oh, yeah, I signed up yesterday. So you want to make sure you tell everybody now. But yeah, we'll go right into it. We'll go into our first part. Normally here, we do the forecast, is what I like to call the weather forecast for the week. And you guys know if you've ever seen the weather forecast, right? When the old guy comes out, when the guy comes out in the suit, you know the weather's going to be serious, right? If it's something else, it's whatever. If it's the machine, if it's the girl, whatever. But once the guy comes out, you know it's serious. So we're about to go ahead and run the weather. So that's going to be for me. So we're going to go ahead and do that, show you, because this is something important. You guys need to pay attention to news. And it's for multiple reasons. If it's your first time trading, the main two reasons why you really want to pay attention to news, one is because that preparation, like what Rich just spoke about, when there's news, when there's high impact news happening with gold, we see all the US news happening that will, it's going to affect gold in a good or bad way. It really depends where you're at that moment. What it's going to do is just going to push volume, volatility. What that means is you're going to get actual candles moving a lot faster than normal. So you want to be prepared for that. You want to make sure that you understand, hey, I'm probably new and I see that there's a red folder news here at 1 o'clock. I probably not going to trade. I'm going to pay attention and see what happens. It's not something you want to be afraid of. It's something you just want to learn and be prepared of. And second is if you're in a TradexMastery account, which I think the majority is right now, especially with this promotion, you cannot trade news. So you cannot trade a specific set of news. And I think we'll probably show that towards the end to let you guys know where you could find some things here. Rich, and like you mentioned at the beginning, where we were talking about what else we could add, and we want to add a little bit of value on every Sunday, maybe of showing you something like, hey, this is how you move a trail stop. This is how you move a stop loss. So I think right now it would probably make sense if it's cool with you, Rich. We could probably show at the end maybe where to find your rules for TradeX because I know that's something maybe a lot of people don't know. So we'll do that at the
Yeah,
end of the call.
yeah,
But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead with the news. So for Sundays, you typically never see news, but you still want to pay attention. A lot of times there is, but right now we have no news. We're good. We're clear. Good to go. Monday, we can see it here. There's no news as well. Even though there's US news, you want to pay attention to what it is. And this is a really important one. So you don't always want to fall for the flag or fall for the color of the folder. Like this one here is yellow. So yellow technically is nothing big. It's nothing that should move, nothing that you should really be observing, right? Me personally, this is one that I actually do pay attention to. So consumer credit, they're gonna talk about how much credit card debt utilization is being used in the United States. If you've paid attention to anything that's happening outside of your house or on your phone, it's at its max. It's at its peak right now because of everything that's happening. Everybody's trying to catch up with bills, and credit cards is usually your easy fix to say, hey, you know what, let me just slide it and I'll pay it back later. And then most of the times it doesn't happen. So this one is actually important for me, and I do want to pay attention to it. And a lot of times it leads to like little hints to what could happen after. One thing with the news that I'll say too, especially being new, if you are new to this, to the news side of things, don't always fall for what's going to be said. What I mean by that, it could be something to say, hey, the news is predicted to say we're at the highest peak of credit card utilization, and that's going to be horrible for the dollar. So obviously, gold is going to go up, and then you might take a buy, and next thing you know, gold tanks, and it's not that. So don't fall for the data, what's said for that specific move, but it's important just to know what's going on in the world, what's going on in this news. Very important at that point. So I'll be paying attention for sure tomorrow, Monday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time for consumer credit, just to see what happens there with the market. Tuesday, now it gets interesting. Tuesday, we have what we call our best friend, our buddy Powell. Powell. So he's like, obviously he's big, big. He's the one that really controls a lot of what happens when it comes into the interest rates into what happens with the dollar, which that really moves everything, right? If you've ever seen the memes or the TikToks, or you ever see in that trading community ever mention Powell, and it's one of those things to where, yeah, he walks up the stage and says, good morning. And next thing you know, that candle shoots up, shoots down, everything's going crazy. Now, there's two types of things when Powell comes out. It's going to be Powell speaks, Powell testifies. What you're going to learn throughout time here is how to trade these specific set of news. When the Powell speaks, you're going to see that candle typically move immediately. If he speaks at 9 a.m., you'll see it at 8:59, 59, and then you see that 1 second move, and you'll see that candle shoot up, shoot down, wherever it needs to go immediately. Powell testifies, Powell testifies could take a little bit. So what I mean by that, Powell testifies, you might see some movements in the market 5 minutes before and up to 15 minutes after. This is just something, again, this is experience that you're going to get throughout time to learn how to trade this type of news and maximize these moves in your favor. So Powell will be testifying at 9, and at the same time, Treasurer Yellen will be speaking at the same time. So it's going to be a lot of movement happening on Tuesday, 9 Central Standard Time. Powell speaks, and when you see the ADP, the non-farm, those are one of the heaviest sets of news that you're going to see when that happens. Those are going to be the main ones you want to pay attention to. There are other newses like you see here, PPI, CPI, which is not for the US, don't worry about it, but those move the market. But the main ones is Powell. Powell speaks, and when you see that ADP non-farm, those are really important ones to look at. So again, 9, we know that Powell's speaking. We're good. That's all that's happening during the day at that time in the morning. Wednesday, we have again Powell testifying one more time. So we're back to back. We have final wholesales, nothing I really worry about. Crude oil, nothing I worry about. Now here we have the 10-year bond. This one's important to pay attention to. This one will really show the future as far as what the dollar will be worth for that bond. A lot of bonds are where people put their money, things of that nature. So again, we want to see what happens at that time through the market. Thursday, heavy news again. CPI, Consumer Price Index, is telling you about what the consumers are looking at, what you and I as consumers are looking at with purchasing power that we have. This one moves the market fast. 7:30, you're going to see a big candle happen, up or down. We'll analyze, we'll see what we do. A lot of times you'll see trade alerts being sent out. Make sure that when a trade alert is sent out, it says news. And in the big notes, it says news, you know that. So now you make that decision of saying, hey, do I have enough experience to trade news or not? Or can my rules through my account allow me to trade news? 7:30 CPI, we're going to see a big movement. Unemployment claims at the same time, another big movement. So lots of news happening Thursday. We have more news all throughout the day. As you can see, there's not many difference on candles. These really don't matter much up until a 30-year bond. But this is something still to pay attention to because as you've seen already, if you've been here possibly for a few days now, last week in akashx, you see that a lot of tap to trades happen in the morning. 7 a.m., 6 a.m. Central, all the way till around 10. You see a lot of trades being sent out, a lot of tap to trades. It's because there's a lot of volume in the market at that time. There's already a lot of movement at that time, and we're going to have news all throughout the day. So Thursday is going to be a very heavy day. It's going to be moving a lot. One more time, this is not to put fear at all. This actually should excite you because that means there's more opportunities. We just need to make sure we're cautious and we're aware of what's happening at those specific times with that specific news. Closing out the week Friday, we have core PPI, and this is another one that moves just like CPI. Same situation, just like CPI moves fast, this one moves fast too. Looks at the same situation what I was looking at forecast, but this is the price of sold goods, right? Sold by producers. So we're looking at price versus the consumer side of things. They move similar because they're pretty much on the same side, right? It's just more the fact of CPI consumer is are we actually consuming? How much are we consuming? Are we buying? Are we not buying? Price, PPI, is the price of such goods. So that's why you see them move so similar. You see those movements move so fast. Again, I love PPI. I love CPI because I love trading news. But I need to make sure that the broker that I use or the prop firm allows it to make sure I'm not breaking rules. And I need to be aware of the time. One of the biggest tips here you want to do and why it's important to know this is that you might see a trade at 7:15 a.m. and you're like, okay, I've been here now. I've followed the trade alerts. I've followed the academy. I've followed the live sessions. I've been here now for a month or so, and I know what I'm looking at now. I'm maybe even using a scanner, and you take a trade at 7:15, and it's moving so good. And the next thing you know, one big candle comes down, hits your stop loss, and then it goes back up and keeps on doing what it's doing. That's why it's important to know news at what time it's happening. Maybe it's something that you're not interested in learning how to trade. Maybe it's something that's a little bit just too much adrenaline for you, and that's perfectly fine. So you not that you have to learn what it is, know what it has to say, but it's more of just being aware and saying, hey, you know what? I like this trade. Hmm. But in 15 minutes, there's news. Let me wait. Let me have the news run, let the news movement happen, and then if my trade is still looking nice, then I'll go ahead and take it. So that's happening at 7:30 on Friday, and then at 9, we have consumer sentiment. Very similar to the CPI, just as more just as well as what is the consumer sentiment feel? What is that projection of how we are spending money? And then the inflation expectations that we're looking at. And that uses all of the data that's happened throughout the week. So wrapping all that up, make sure you're aware of news. You could use Forex Factory or inside of akashx. When you go to tools, there is financial news. So you could use this one right here too. Whatever is easier for you, it's perfectly fine. There's a financial news one. There is, yeah, and the tools, financial ones. But I personally, calendars, I mean, sorry, tools, calendars, and then you can use economic calendars, and it'll show you what I just showed you. Recent, today, tomorrow, similar situation. I have just been using Forex Factory for almost 5 years, so it's sometimes hard to break old habits for me. So that's why I go right away to Forex Factory, but completely up to you what you want to news as far as news outlets. But again, be aware of that. We've spoken about this before. Again, we're touching preparation again, right? Tomorrow is Monday. So before you're ready to take your first trades, you're going to look if there's news or there's not news. You could prep a day before too. You could prep today's Sunday and say, hey, what's happening tomorrow? Okay, cool. What we're Monday, what's happening tomorrow, Tuesday? Oh, at 9, there's news. Let me go on my phone and let me put a calendar reminder. Let me put an appointment at 9 and have that appointment remind me 15 minutes prior. Just to make sure that, again, it's being prepared, taking things serious at that point. But that's the news. Go ahead and pass it to you, Rich, now. So I'm going to go ahead and run through a little bit of what we see for NAS and gold.
Sounds good. Awesome, guys. So yeah, like Brent said, you definitely want to be ahead of the game with understanding when these news events are going to be announced. And obviously, guys, a lot of us may be trading on the 25K accounts for TradexMastery, right? So very important, unless you have specifically paid to trade during news, you want to be aware of the terms and conditions of which news events you need to be avoiding 2 minutes before and after, essentially, to make sure you're not violating that rule. Again, we're not going to spend too much time on that because we've talked about it in many calls. We have YouTube videos, all type of stuff on there. But just, again, preparation is not just about, waking up early to trade. It's about knowing when the news is going to come out, knowing what pairs am I planning to trade, right? Did I already look at the charts before the week started to get kind of an idea of where we expect the market to head for the week? Just getting whatever we can out of the information we currently have to start already kind of creating that bias of what to expect is just going to prepare you to win, right? It's like going into, I always do the sports analogy stuff, but it's like you're going to go to win a championship trophy and you have time to plan against the team trying to stop you and you don't sit down and study them. No, you can't do that, right? If we can study our opponent, which is really just the market, right? And you don't want to fight the market. You want to flow with the market, right? You want to understand what are the major institutions, the big whales, the key players, the banks, right? What are they looking to do with whatever asset we're trading, whether it is the NASDAQ, whether it is gold, et cetera. And just prep yourself to take those positions. So that's what we're going to do right now from a technical analysis perspective. And if you don't even know what technical analysis is, very simply put, it's just looking at the charts, the candlesticks, and starting to look at what do we see for now that can help us start getting an idea of where it's going to go, right? So we're going to pull up gold first. All right. So we have gold. Now, I always like to do something called a top-down analysis, right? Especially with gold, since I'm not actively trading gold too much compared to, some of your other educators, such as Brent on the call. I gotta situate myself with, what has gold been doing as of late, right? Now, we saw that for the last couple of weeks, right? Because I'm on the weekly time frame right now. So this means that every single candlestick that I am looking at this very moment is all right, every single candlestick I'm looking at this moment is representing a week's worth of price action, right? So for the week, we saw that we were initially looking like we kind of hit a climax as to how far gold was going to rally, but we've really found a strong level of demand or support at this rough 2300, yeah, 2300 price point, right? We have held that very nicely. So if we drop down now to a daily, and before I keep going, some of you guys, maybe have asked like, what time frame should I be looking at the market, right? Realistically, guys, a lot of us really, if we look at what we are day traders. Now you can scalp the market like Brent, where he's looking at the 1 minute, the 5 minute time frame, right? Getting in and out of positions very quickly. You can be more of an intraday trader. That's kind of like what I do, where I'm in a trade throughout an entire day, right? For multiple hours. But then there's people that swing trade as well, right? Where they're holding a position for days, sometimes even weeks at a time. Overall, here in akashx, we pretty much stick to scalping slash day trading. If you guys haven't noticed, obviously we're not holding trades for more than a day usually on almost all the trades we ever send out, right? So I always look at something like the daily um, to kind of start off and make sure I don't tunnel vision on just the most recent price, right? I want to see a eagle-eyed perspective of what has this, thing that we're trading, in this case, gold, been doing overall. Overall, we've seen that we have been bullish, right, for quite some time, really since like last year, October, November, right? We're looking at October, November. We've been rallying to the upside. And then really since April, we've kind of hit that climax where, okay, we've made all-time highs in the market. We have made history, right? Gold is at its peak. At what point can price kind of start to run out of gas? And it looked like we're doing that for the past several months, right? From May to July. We've seen it basically pushing to the downside. And again, this very crucial level, and this is where I'll drop down to like a 4 hour time frame now. We start to really see, okay, market structure. What is market structure showing us? Now, again, if some of you guys are a little bit newer, if you've only really been doing tap to trades, if you haven't been on any live sessions or really seen chart work before, this is gonna like fly over your head right now, and that's okay. If that is the case, you guys want to head over to akashx, right? And you want to start learning things like the basics, right? You can easily do that through the Academy tab. You guys can start with beginner. You can start progressing through the different levels. And then really where I think the sauce is at is with the educator training series, right? Remember, these are pre-recorded videos that are like very generic when it comes to the beginner, advanced, and expert. I would say the beginner definitely has a lot of great things that you need as a bare minimum foundation. But once you get past beginner, I'm not saying that you have to skip advanced or expert, but what I'm saying is that a different version of advanced slash expert would be the educator training series. And you're going to be learning it from people that you already have kind of gotten to know because you're on these type of Sunday market outlook calls. You've seen us on Zoom calls, etc. Right? So I have my session right here, or my channel here. You see Brent's as well right here. And we are respectively going to have our different strategies and ways of explaining things, right? So that is where you can catch up with us slowing things down, breaking things into very like individual concepts so that later when you're on these type of calls, you're seeing how they all kind of work together, right? So I just wanted to show you that in case you weren't aware that we had that, right? So that's that. So getting back to gold, when I say things like market structure, all I'm looking at, guys, is basically highs and lows and trends. And we do that by looking at a chart. And we have to look at, again, lows, highs. When the market is forming higher lows and higher highs, we are in an uptrend. If we're forming lower lows and lower highs, we're on a downtrend, right? If we're consolidating, you're going to have equal highs and equal lows, right? That's just market structure, basics 101 when it comes to that, right? But now let's actually look at, okay, this is the range that we're looking at, right? Let's just look at this last piece of price action right here. And let's start identifying what type of trend are we in. We saw that gold hit this peak right here back in April, right? This is April 12th. From that peak, we saw a strong rejection, a fail to make a new high, and that kind of led us to pushing all the way to here. And that marks the low. So I'm not marking every single like little point here going crazy. I'm looking at the most important ones, which is the extreme highs and the extreme lows. All right. So if we notice this high and this low, what happens over here is that we can see that the market has made a new high in the market. And what I love about it is that it wasn't just a wick, right? And when I say a wick, you guys, I'm talking about these very thin little spikes is what you could, I guess, describe it as, right? You see these little spikes. Those spikes don't mean as much to me as candle closures. Now, again, this is like basic for some of you guys on here, but if you don't know what I'm talking about, this is absolutely crucial for you to really start to understand why you might be guessing the trend incorrectly, right? So notice how we have this spike right here. And notice here, not only do we go above the spike, which is the wick, but we also have the candles that are closing above that. So it's not just, again, a wick like this that just kind of like spikes it and then drops. We actually see the market breaking. So this is called a break of structure. So breaking and closing above that. So why am I spending so much time with that? Well, because here's the thing. Whenever we see that price is going down, 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 down for so long, we can easily get tunnel vision in this area and be like, oh my God, we're going to keep pushing down. But here's the thing, guys. If we saw that over here, we had this big push, and then we had this huge correction down here, and now we had this new high forming the market, then that means if price comes back down here, we got to really pay attention to this area, because in an uptrend, what happens? You have a push, a retracement, and a new push. So if the trend is going to continue in that direction, we're going to have another retracement, but this low should remain intact and make a new high. And that's essentially what you're seeing here. And so what happens? We're expecting, so let me clean this up now, right? So now once we see that price again is holding, making new highs, coming back down, making new highs, we are seeing that this is indeed holding, and we should be seeing new highs potentially form in the market if we're just looking at the bigger picture. So you may be wondering, okay, well, like, how does that translate into tomorrow's trading? Again, tomorrow's trading, if you're going to be hopping on a session like Brent's, right? Any educator, and they're looking for positions, more than likely they're going to be getting into trades that are not going to last very, very long. Like, it's not going to last days, because realistically, I do expect, if trend is going to continue how it is right now, that we should be breaking a new high above 2450 if we're just continuing, again, the overall macro scale trend. But that's going to take some time, guys, because we're looking at a 4-hour time frame. 4 hours. So if you're going to look at a 4-hour chart, every candlestick is 4 hours. And in 24 hours, which is one day, that's 6 candles. So every 6 candles is going to be a whole new day. So if we look at from basically this high up here to where we're currently at right now, it can easily take anywhere from 1 to 2+ days, depending on if news is helping us out or whatever the case is, to get back up there. So I would say the reason why I'm going about all this explanation is to say that if I have that bias, or if I have that perception that we should be following the big wave, right? If we're riding the big wave, and we're expecting it to make new highs, does it make more sense to look for sell opportunities or buy opportunities? This is where you guys have your chance to interact and really see if you feel like you're on the same page. And listen, it doesn't mean that I'm right or wrong, right? We're just analyzing the market and creating scenarios that we can prepare ourselves to take. But if right now I tell you, hey, overall, we've been pushing higher, we've come lower, should we be looking for buys or should we be looking for sells? Buys, buy. Okay, cool. Again, does that mean that tomorrow on the session, Brent is going to be trading? Wait, Brent, real quick, bro. You have a session tomorrow, right?
Nope. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay, so there we go. That's why I thought so. That's why I was like, let me correct myself. So if you see a tap to trade or whatever, any educator that's training in the mornings, whether it's Jonathan, right? So shout out to Jonathan Leal. Let's show some love to Jonathan real quick in the chat, guys, because I see him in the chat here. He's helping us co-host this call, and he just did an amazing training with Brent and Armin the other day as well. I don't know if you guys were on that. But major shout out to Jonathan, man. So, Jonathan is actively trading. I'm actively trading. Brent's actively trading during New York session. Joel as well, obviously gets very, very busy with gold. So are we going to see buys tomorrow 100% from an educator? Not necessarily, because again, if we're looking for, let's say, 20 pip moves, 40 pip moves, right? That may just be the moves that kind of give us the retracement, right? But overall, guys, I think most educators, and I'm not saying I'm right, but I think we would agree that we are pretty bullish on gold overall. And I say that again because, guys, we formed this low, we had this high, we formed a lower high, we formed a higher high, and then here we really tested the zone one more time, right? But since then, guess what? We have absolutely formed a new high above here. All right, so notice how I'm plotting these pieces of price, because this is like a visual aid for you guys to really start to understand like which way is the market going. Well, if we saw that we were going down and now we've shifted back up, it shows that we're bullish. So do we want to buy high? No, I would say that we want to wait for the market to maybe retrace a bit. And if we can get a buy around here, I think that's a really strong probability type of trade for us to take it higher. I'm not gonna take up too much time anymore. I want Brent to really do his thing here. I just look at things from a little bit of a higher time frame perspective. I know he's gonna look at it, on a more scalping perspective. But I think a big thing for me again is looking at areas of supply and demand. If you guys have been through like my content, and I really pay attention to these wicks, right? Because these wicks, this is most likely from NFP. This is like those fake outs in the market, right? That kind of like trick us that things are gonna start pushing down, and then it ends up popping back up. And that's because there was a high impact big news announcement with NFP on Friday. So because I see that as an area of manipulation, that we basically tricked everybody into thinking we were selling and then we ended up pushing higher, this is an area of sensitivity for me to pay attention to. This wick right here. So for me, what I would prefer to do is not try to go counter trend and like sell. I would actually prefer to try to wait for the market to just sell off and then look for reversals off of this area to take us higher, right? At least above here, but with the mindset that we potentially, if we see that structure continues to keep pushing, eventually take us to here. That's the way I see gold. So again, if you don't understand like what I'm talking about with supply and demand and all that, you can go through my educator academy. I talk about it, but I look at these areas of manipulation like this as very sensitive points in price where we should be seeing price dip back into here. And then I want to wait for market structure to shift bullish so I can then buy up. That's what I would want to do. But obviously, for us to get here, it means we need to sell. At some point, it has to sell off. So that's where we may potentially see some type of quick sell opportunities to take us down to here, right? So that's how I see gold as of right now. So again, to summarize, I think overall we have seen that we have shifted structure back higher, right? And I think that this area of demand is a really good area to buy. That's what I would look for gold. Oh, I just let in an iPhone real quick. I think that might be a spammer. I'm so sorry. So Brent, I'm gonna just remove them. Honestly, I don't even care. Sorry, iPhone. Okay, so yeah, so that's gold for me, man. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen real quick. I don't know if you wanna.
Yeah. No, it's educator conference. I won't take more than like 2 minutes here, but I'm with you. I want gold to go up, but I wanted to first to come down to 2373. It was a point of interest that we had a lot throughout last week too. And it's still important to me because it comes down and cuts pretty much half of what we had here of this big movement from NFP. Like
Yeah.
this overall big just what I take on NFP a lot of times when it does this big wick is it takes off everybody. So what I mean by that is that the market's here, the institutions, they're here. They know they want to be up here. And this will take time. This is a 30-minute time frame, by the way. But what happens with news? Institutions will say, well, wait a second, there's a lot of retail like us. There's a lot of retail that's buying. And we only want to win, the institutions, not retail. So what are we going to do? We're going to let people know, hey, guess what? We're going up, by the way, in NFP. And then guess what? Big wick cuts everybody off. All
Yeah.
stop loss get hit. And then it goes right back to where it needs to go. And instead of this taking a week, it took a few hours to where it needs to go.
Mhm.
That's what news likes to do, and that's why we need to pay attention to news. Even if you
Yeah.
don't trade news, you're in a regular trade here. But if you're not paying attention to news, you could end up losing your perfectly set up trade. Because you said here, buy. Well, yeah, obviously you're super in profits, but because you didn't pay attention to that calendar, you end up hitting stop loss
Yep.
even though your analysis was perfect, right? So now we have to use that. Just like Rich, I'm not big on trading Sundays unless it's like really talking to me and it's like, you know what, I'm gonna risk very little just because I gotta scratch that itch right there. So it just has to happen. But same thing, and even Mondays. I don't have live sessions on Mondays because I want data. I want enough data to go back off of it. Now, if today was not Sunday, if tomorrow wasn't Monday, I would be looking for sales, but for the intention for it to get up because I like scalping in the 1 minute time frame. So I'm going to make quick little moves in, out, in. I'm talking about I sell here and I'm out here, and then I buy and then I'm out here. And if you've been on my live sessions, you know what I'm talking about. Like we're in, we're out, we're in, we're out. It's quick little movements, but overall, on a larger time frame for me, which is not even 4 hours for me, it's 30 because I'm a scalper. 4 hours for me is too much. For me, I'm very much Matt is the same way. I don't look at the charts for hours. When my session starts, I literally start my session and I look at the chart for the first time with you guys. I want a clean mindset to see what's happening in that moment. But overall, it's important that on a Sunday, I already know that overall we want it to go up. So I know my points of interest. So if Tuesday comes around and we're in a live session and the candle is at 23.73, my focus is to that number like, hey, something's about to happen. This is an area of interest. So it's things of that nature where you prepare for at that point. So yes, overall, I want this to come down to around 23.73 to go up and break that new high and to even level off that, support it and keep on going up higher. We have to be prepared for both scenarios. That's what we like, but we cannot fall in love with that either because it could end up going the complete opposite way. We have a ton of news for it to say, hey, screw your analysis, screw everything, news. We're going to do what we need to do because the institutions might want to have the market down here and they don't want to wait for it to take a month. So it's going to take a set of Powell speaking to bring it down. So when you look at that, it's just the same situation. Okay, if we end up coming down and now we start leveling off this and going down, well, now we have to look for areas of interest. So same situation, right? Like what Rich showed. Here's your high, low, but you're extreme low. Not your little low, your bigger low. So we could end up seeing 23.47. We could end up seeing 23.42. It's a possibility, and we have to be prepared for it. If it does go opposite to our analysis, we already know we already know, hey, we want this to do this and go up. But if it does this and then levels off and starts going down, okay, then we want it to come here and we're going to sell off here. And if it goes down here, we could probably buy off here to go up here. If it breaks, well, guess what? We're going to resist and sell again. So we have those areas of interest for sure that we peek at. We have those supply, those demand zones. Love supply demand. Smart money concepts for me was like way too much, something that Rich does. Too much studying for me, too much analysis. I like scalping in and out, but I learned supply and demand from smart money. I learned breakup structure. I learned change of character, and that's helped me so much on my scalping. Like it's crazy how sometimes things could be completely opposite, but when you start picking little by little of what you like, you're gonna start making your own strategy. You're gonna start getting comfortable with what you like. So I love supply demand. I use it for my scalping all the time, even though I mean smart money tells you, right? Supply demand is on a higher time frame. It's the 3 hour, 4 hour. I use supply demand in the 1 minute. That's what I use supply and demand for. And it works for me. But same thing. Same thing is what I'm looking at, bro. So gonna be exciting, especially with all the news. We should be seeing 3 days of those wicks. Like expect how you see this big wick here, guys. This expect a big wick like that to happen at least 3 times this week with the news that we're having, which that's good because if we're patient and we know, hey, 7:30's news, I'm gonna wait, I'm gonna wait. I know that I want this to go up, right? And next thing you know, I see a huge candle drop. I can be patient. You've done that. We've done this live. The bell happens, stuff like that. We wait, we wait, we wait. We see this go up, down, up, down, up, down, and we see that every time it goes here, it bounces, bounces, bounces. Boom, we buy. Imagine this was last Friday. You knew news was about to happen. You knew that based off your analysis, you wanted the market to go up. And you patiently wait for this candle to happen. And you took a buy right here. You would be happy right now in profits if you would have patiently known what time the news was. And if you had your weak analysis of saying, hey, I want gold to be bullish. That's what we prepare. We prepare for it. Patience pays. It's a rush, rush, wait situation, and we get the best of it. And if not, we don't fall in love with the trade. We wait for the next one because guess what? There's one candle, two candle, three candle, four, and all these candles are going to keep on happening, guys. All these candles, all of them. We'll all be out gone from this world, and there'll still be candles going, guys. It's that, like, seriously. Don't try to rush into one. Don't get FOMO. But that's it for me on the gold side.
Awesome. Yeah, we won't take too long on the NAS side because I know we're almost about an hour in, and I want to give some final thoughts on just overall stuff. But yeah, I mean, the cool thing is, guys, our strategies, the way Brent trades, the way I trade, it's something that translates across the board. Like I look at NAS and I look at gold in the same way, in a sense. Like our strategies allow us to trade across the board with different things. If you're wondering like why we trade these two specific things, it's just because number one, we like to trade during New York session, right? It matches our lifestyle. And then the second thing is these are very volatile pairs in a sense. Like forex pairs, the average daily range is maybe 30 to 60 pips, right? Maybe on the higher side for something like the British pairs, but something like gold and then the indices like NASDAQ, US 30, these are going to move hundreds, if not thousands of pips on a daily basis. Crypto's a whole other thing. I don't get into day trading crypto because that's very manipulated and volatile compared to golden indices. But I think golden indices is like a very like great middle ground of big moves, and it also is within our trading session that we like to trade in, right? So that's a big question of preparation, right? For you guys heading into this week is like, again, I know most of us, we're going to be utilizing tap to trade. We're just going to be following the educators, taking their trades with whatnot. But if your goal is to become a self-sufficient trader, a great trader yourself by utilizing the mentorship here, you gotta create a plan for yourself. At the end of the day, everybody wants to be their own boss, right? But it means you gotta boss yourself around, right? It means you gotta set up the meetings, you gotta set up the times to take the action, the risks to take, right? Like you have to create everything from scratch about how you're going to go about your trading business, right? This is a business, so you got to know your schedule, what you're going to trade. Again, we've talked about this on many sessions, but that's just one thing I want to touch on, like mindset wise, real quick, is why we're even talking about NAS and gold. That's the reason why. Now, also, guys, you're probably wondering, like, what's the whole point of doing all this analysis stuff and all that? Well, at the end of the day, trading, all it comes down to, guys, is we want to make profit, right? But in order to make profit, you have to risk something, right? So we need to find a strategy or a way of looking at the markets that does two things. Number one is we need something that is consistent. We need something that is consistent, right? If you are not finding a strategy that repeats itself historically, then how could you ever be consistent with trading, right? So at some point, this market analysis stuff, like in a good way, it'll get boring to you because we're just looking for the same things over and over and over. Well, that's how you create consistency, right? A lot of people want to have great bodies or just do a lot of great things. Even if you're building your network marketing business, it's not about doing some extravagant, crazy, different stuff all the time. It's just about the simple habits and the simple things that move the needle little by little every single day, right? So when we mark up these zones for gold and NAS, it is part of that strategy where we're going to risk a set amount per trade, and we're looking to make at least, I would say usually at least that same risk back. Me personally, I like to try to make at least triple of whatever I'm risking. Every educator is going to have their different philosophies of how they do it. Some risk 1% to make 1%. Some may risk 1 to make 2, right? I personally, I have my trade management rules, but typically I like to go for triple my risk. So that means that we don't even need to win, most of our trades. We can literally win half of our trades and still be great, like still be profitable because we have bigger winners than losers, right? So when it comes to NAS, for example, The way I look at it, I have a very specific strategy called Liberty that I use to trade NAS. It's going to be based off of trading out of the Asian range, which is just basically a specific time of the day. In Eastern time frame, it's like, well, I'm gonna say it in Central Standard Time. Central Standard Time, I think it's like from 7 till about 12:30 a.m. So it's like 8 to 1:30 in the morning Eastern time. During that time, it's like I'm not touching the chart at all. Like I actually need to literally not touch the chart from that time to that time to see what does price do within that range. And so what I look for is those breakouts of that range. Again, you can see with NFP how we had a lot of that market manipulation that kind of kicked in that Brent was touching on. And the same way that it did it on gold, notice how we had those spikes here. We literally flew up, flew down, right? Spiked everybody out here and then pushed up, right? So the way I look at this again with gold and NAS is pretty similar. I think gold ended up creating like a cleaner demand zone that I can utilize later. I didn't really see anything left behind from NFP, in this general area that I like on the higher time frames. So what I'm going to be personally doing is, allowing for that range from now till about the next 4 hours to form. So we already see that we've kind of started from here and we'll end around right here. So depending on, whether we stay, at this high and this low, for example, is how I'll be looking for opportunities. I think that, again, we've already kind of experienced price push. So I would expect some type of retracement at some point. So if we can get something like, where we kind of make a push to the upside first and then it ends up being a fake out, then I would really like to take sell there, maybe take us back down a little bit. But at the end of the day, we got to keep in mind that overall, NAS has just been bullish, 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 just pushing, pushing, pushing. Every time we think it might sell, it's not selling. Like this thing has just exploded, news exploded, news exploded. So overall, yes, the buys continue to make sense, right? But based on my strategy with the breakouts of these zones, I wouldn't be surprised if we at least got like some momentary retracements back into that NFP zone. And then from there, gotta kind of see if we get the continuations or whatnot. So nothing really clear for me for NAS right now. And this is why we tell you guys, like, on Sundays, gold, because it's more of a global commodity, right? A lot of countries utilize gold. It's not like the NASDAQ, which is just the US stock market, right? The US stock market is literally going to be just completely dependent from that 9 to 5 time frame, more or less, right? With gold, that thing can move around the clock. Like you can see during London session, it makes great moves. During New York session, it makes great moves. With NAS, we are definitely like not going to touch it until it is that 9 to 5 Eastern time frame when the stock market is open and acting up and everything like that. So for now, sitting on my hands, like literally not touching nothing. And that's a big part of trading that people, kind of want to overlook or they don't want to do sometimes because it's not fun, but we're not trading for fun, right? We're here to make money. And if I don't see something that is clear that I can feel comfortable putting my risk on, then why take a trade, guys? Right? That's how you have to look at it. I think a lot of us, we get really antsy to take trades because we want to take action, right? We are in network marketing, right? We're, entrepreneurs. We want to take action. We want to put in the work. We grind. We don't sleep, right? Like all that mentality. You gotta really switch the psychology a little bit with trading to realize that it's more about opportunity than putting in the work, right? You have to wait for the right time for you to pull the trigger on something worth putting your risk behind, right? It's like, man, if you had your last $1,000 to invest, that was like a make or break, like you're gonna go rich or you're gonna go broke, would you risk it on this next trade? Right now, I don't want you to have that pressure, right? That, oh my God, if I lose this trade, it's over. That's not what I'm saying, right? But like, do you value every time you risk the market, right? Do you value every single 1% that you risk on your challenge, for example? Do you value every X amount of hundreds of dollars per trade on your smaller accounts. Like whatever your risk plan is up to you. But every time you pull the trigger, like you gotta be okay that you lose it, but you gotta be sold on the fact that it was worth the risk, right? So we don't want to take any trades that don't seem like home run hitters, right? Like if it's like I kind of see a trade maybe here, I'm not risking it because I'm not. I respect. You got to respect your capital. You got to respect your money. So we don't want to be giving the money to these random brokers and whatever. I want to keep the money for me. So if I got to put it at risk, it's got to follow my strategy. It's got to look really clean. If it's not clean, I'm gonna just sit out. Period. That's my philosophy. Is the way I do things, right? Um, so yeah, basically, guys, Nas, I don't really see much for now. Again, I would think maybe we can get some type of sell off, but overall things are very bullish. So once we get to here, we probably could see higher price action until the market proves us otherwise. So news is going to be really important for me this week with Nas for me to even make a decision. Brent, you want to look at Nas a bit on the scalping side?
Yeah, so Nas, I mean, she was nasty to me last week. Nas was nasty. So, and the thing is of how it was, right? So for Nas, I like love scalping Nas. It's probably one of my favorite pairs to trade on the New York opening bell. Love it, love it, love it. I have a very specific strategy in the 1 minute that just I look for those retracements. I look to sometimes go against it, which is that channel. I explain that in the understanding the market uh the understanding the market video that I have in the educator training series. I explain that how a lot of times I sell against it, right? Or I buy against it because I'm looking for those type movements. But if just how Rich showed his screen right now, it was just up. It was up, consolidated, up, consolidated, up. And typically that's what we look for is that if it goes up, we go up, rise a little bit, retracement of 50% of that whole big movement that went up and then continues up, right? Or it comes down to 50 and then comes down. We didn't have that last week. Since Tuesday, literally, like if you look at Monday, went up 50%, then goes up. Beautiful. But then after Tuesday, it was just up, consolidated, up, consolidated, up, consolidated, up. So that sucked. And so I'm really excited this week for news because news should clean up last week. And that's what I really need. Like I if you look at it now, sure. I mean, just going off last week, it's like, okay, bye. But that's not fun. Like, it more needs to happen. So I'm really excited for this news that's happening. I'm excited at the time that it's happening because it pushes into that New York opening bell. So I'm really hoping we see a big cleanup of last week, see a lot of big up and down candles. Like, give me a consolidation, but from that higher high and that higher low. Like, where it's at the top, come all the way to the bottom, then up, and all the way to the bottom and up, and just go crazy on us this week. That's great because we have such a wide range to where you can really get those 1 to 3 movements, like Rich was saying, right? That 1,000, 1,500 pip moves that we could get. And there's a lot of room for it to happen, and we have the right news for it to happen. So, yes, 100% wait. I'm big on pressure. I like that type of pressure. Everybody works a little bit different, but I love what you said, Rich, right? This is your last trade. Sink or swim. This is it. Like, are you going to click that buy or sell button? Again, if you are prepared, you're not going to hesitate. If you're prepared, you know what lot size you need to put, you know your risk, you know the time of the day, you know the news. You have everything to where you will not have any sort of hesitation at all. That's the biggest thing. Yes, you want to make sure you treat this crazy, crazy seriousness, life or death. You want to treat your account that way, literally. But when you're prepared, you're not having no fear. When you have fear, that's when you're done. When you're afraid of losing that last, this is my last trade, and if I lose it, I'm done. Now you're scared. That might have been the perfect buy for you, but because you're scared and you were hesitant, instead of going in here and your stop loss here, you went in here and your stop loss was here. And guess what? You hit stop loss by 1 pip. If you wouldn't have hesitated, you would have gone in where you were supposed to. Your stop loss would have been great. You would have hit all CPs, but you hesitated. So again, no fear in what we do. Be prepared, guys. This is the first step. Like, feel great about yourself right now. If you're watching this replay, good. Feel great about yourself too. I understand maybe you couldn't be at this call right now. Life happens. But if you're here, you're one step ahead already. You're prepared. Not that we 100% right or we're promising anything, but you are one step ahead because everything we've said, you grabbed at least one little nugget from everything we said, and it's going to help you now start off, right? Tomorrow, those trades that you start looking into the live sessions. But yeah, we're good for now. We're in that trade with John for sure. So thanks, bro, for sending another tap to trade. I'm in that too, bro. I love it. And like I said, I want it to come down a little bit for it to go up, and then he says to sell. So it's like, hey, you saved me from having to go in and press a bunch of buttons. I just hit approve. So thank you. I appreciate making my Sunday a little bit more chill too. So thank you very much, bro. But yeah, that's it for me.
Hey, did you take
Awesome.
that trade idea? Did you take the trade idea? That was just
Yeah,
literally
I
a
took
wick and
yeah,
boom. It
I
just
took the
shut
trade
down.
idea too. Yeah, I was when
Check,
it
check.
opened, I was already looking at it. I was like, let me see how the market opened, and I was like, damn, this looks like a really good sale. And the next you send the sale, I was like, oh shoot, let me go in this now. I guess so. So yeah, I was mid Xbox, I was mid Call of Duty game, and I was like, shit, grab really put it really quick, put the controller down, keep on playing. So hey, I'm
Hey,
already
hey,
two. I'm 2-0.
Marianne's in it right now.
Let's go. Hey, you
Marianne's
can
in
I
it
share
right
my
now. So,
should I share my broker screen? Should I share my broker screen?
hey, you're a co-host. I can't stop you.
Boom. Look at that. Oh,
Oh, something light, something
something
light.
light,
You
something
know,
light.
Chill, chill,
this guy,
Let's
man.
go,
chill,
let's
chill.
go.
Hey, if you guys are not tapping in with Jonathan, you guys are missing out too, man. Look, Jonathan is like the good crazy. Like Jonathan always got that good crazy energy. Like he's just ready to attack the charts and ready to attack the day, man. We love that energy here, bro. We're so grateful that you've been a part of akashx, man, since you launched. Um, but yeah, guys, I mean, we are pretty much over an hour here, so we definitely want to respect everybody's time. And definitely, wrap up this call. But I think we, covered a lot of great things for our first comeback call back into Sunday Market Outlook since we've had a little hiatus. But man, again, we've had massive momentum into akashx. Now our goal is really to, show the new wave, right? Like what we've been doing here for over a year and a half, right? Continue to do the things that got us to this point and just double down on what worked, right? Sending quality trades, making sure that people are just at least basics really educated. I mean, a lot of you guys that are on these Sunday Market Outlook calls right now, like I already kind of got to know y'all, even if I've never met you in person, through seeing your name on the Zooms, through seeing your name on the chats. Like, let me tell you, that is what winners do. Like, I swear to you, when I was a student in my first year, man, and humbly, I'm not even like huge in the industry right now, but compared to where I was in my first year, I mean, it's a good night and day difference, but what we always did from day one, and I'm sure that Jonathan agrees, Brent, everybody is, man, they were active in the chats. Like they were actively communicating, being in the mix, right? Being at the events. And this is an event. It's just a digital event, right? But the more that you guys show up for your success, man, like that is such a big part of you winning because you're listening and you're seeing success in front of you over and over and over. And it's just it's gonna hit subconsciously at some point, and you're not gonna know when that moment hits. Nobody knows when trading clicks for them. It's just you just have a great day, and then it kind of trickles into a great week, and then a month, and you're like, am I actually like, and then 2 months, 3 months, and you're like, okay, like it's working, right? And so you don't know when that moment is, guys. You just gotta literally control what you can control, which is the moment, right? I love what Brent talked about, and this is the last thing I'll say, is that we prep so that we don't fear the moment, right? We just respect the market. We respect that risk has to be calculated. We respect that things are probabilities, right? But when you guys go into your charts and you have back tested your strategy, right? Like when you've seen your strategy does play out, if you give it enough chances, then you have to pull the trigger every time the chance presents itself. Because if you don't know if that was the winner, right? But we have to take the time to find out what is our strategy. Again, if you're leveraging the educators, that part's done for you, right? Every educator has done the hard work, right? But realize that whenever you guys are taking that educator's next trade, you don't know if out of those 10 trades that educator has planned his strategy for, if that is one of the losers or the winners. So if you're going to plug into an educator, consistently plug into the educator, right? As much as I would love you guys to take all my trades, I understand there's a lot of other educators. I'm not here to take the limelight. I know that nobody here has the ego. All the educators, man, I can honestly say they move with the right intentions, the right energy. And it's hey, if we could just get akashx people paid, however it's got to get done, let's do it, right? So shout out to Joel being really consistent with Tap to Trades, right? Shout out to Brent trading live on his sessions. Shout out to Jonathan right now, literally getting my wife paid. So appreciate you, bro. You know, so like it's about utilizing, right? Whoever you guys can utilize. Sometimes, you know, certain educators are more active at certain times of the day. Start paying attention to those little things, right? Like just do a little bit of effort to know, hey, I'm going to stick to such and such educators. I'm going to trade at such and such times. And I'm going to try to take all the trades that they specifically send so that I can be on the same page as them. I'm not just taking one trade from this guy one day and then one trade from this guy the other day, because again, you don't know if that one and only trade you're taking happens to be the one loser that they have, right? It's about the consistency. If the educators are consistent, the least you can do is be consistent as a customer, as a member, right? That's one thing that my wife has always done. She's been with me for 5-6 years. She still doesn't trade. I know Brent, all you guys have similar situations, but like they know how to just follow the leader, right? Like just stay plugged in. So I think you guys, if you're brand new into your, akashx journey, your trading journey, welcome. If you guys have been at this for a while, your breakthrough is probably happening as we speak right now, and you don't even realize it, right? So just keep going. Like literally, there's no magic to it. You just have to take that next trade, get on that next call, and don't put a time limit, man. Don't worry about your age. Don't worry about how long you've been doing this for. Don't like, you gotta put that to the side. You just have to focus on the moment. That's all you got. If you've been doing this for 5 years, keep going. If you've been doing this for 1 month, keep going. Because listen, the time passes regardless. But it's like, did you get better? Did you keep pushing things forward? Did you quit? Did you keep going? So, yeah, hey, it's just the formula, guys. It's the formula. It's the formula. Just as long as you guys look, the only thing that can stop you, even if you keep going, is that you're not changing. You're not evolving. Because if you keep staying in the trading industry and you're not actually paying attention to what you're doing wrong, because we all do something wrong. I still do things wrong. If you're not paying attention to what's working and not working, you're just coasting through the journey. So keep going, but keep evolving, because that's the only way you get better. Don't just think that because you pay your membership and you get on the calls that it's just going to work automatically for you. And I've been a victim of that, where I thought that just by hanging around the success, it was going to fall on my shoulders. It's a lot easier. It gets very close to you, but you still have to do what the winners do. So make the changes, pay attention to your good habits, your bad habits, make the changes. So that's it from me. I don't know if Brand, Jonathan, you guys want to add anything real quick before we wrap it up, but
Absolute fire, bro. Absolute fire. Love it, love it. Hey, that's all facts. 100%. It's all facts. Solid, solid, solid. Like I said before too, right? Your goal of what you do, like you do every day, whatever you do for what you do, it's not for that ultimate goal, but it's the person that you're gonna turn into getting that goal. That's what it is. And we said it right there, it's evolve. Like you're every day you're here to whatever reason, to quit my job, to make 100,000, to buy a house, to live in the penthouse in Ecuador, whatever you're doing, it's not for that, but it's for the person that you're going to evolve at that moment. And like Candace right there, shout out to Candace 500K, amazing leader. Thank you for being here. She said it best right there, Rose. That's forget about XAUSD. That's not gold. What she said right there is gold right there. She just dropped you a TTP right there for gold. She said events will do for your business what you can never do alone for your business. Trading is your business, guys. If you're not an affiliate, that's okay. Trading is your business. Your trade account is your business. What you're doing is your business. And being here, again, events will do for your business what you can never do alone for your business. So thank you, Candice, for dropping that gold. You dropped your first gold TTT and you hit TP with that, Candice. Thank you very much. But that's it for me, bro. Thank you. Thank you again.
Let's go. Nah, you gotta unmute yourself if you're gonna turn up like that, bro. We need to hear it. We need to hear it.
I'm just supporting them. I'm like, let's go. Hey guys, but at the end of the day, like, training is a lifestyle, bro. So like, once you come into training, you're gonna fall in love with it. If you really like have it, like really take into it and like really pour yourself into the personal development, all the books. Every day you have to like, man, look at this. Training will show the ghosts and all the demons in front of you when you train. And if you don't face them and you don't evolve and you don't just keep growing, man, trading, man, it's it. Look, this is why I love trading, because every day I just become better. I become a better father. I become a better friend. I become better teammates, because we're teams right here. It's everybody. It's nobody against each other. It's a whole entire team, because at the end of the day, we're all the what? Akashx, right? MDC. We're all working together towards something. And that's the beauty of it, because we become better every single day. And the coolest thing is that if you become better for yourself, imagine what you're going to do better for your family, for everybody, for the entire. I love it. And I'm just so honored, and I'm just so blessed to be here, man. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for accepting me, and thank you guys for being here. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Let's go. All right. Hey, I hope you guys, the infectious energy is being passed from Jonathan to you guys, because like this is what preparation is, not just the logical thinking stuff. It's also the vibe. Like, are we coming in? Like, are we gonna win this week? Right? Like, are we ready to like take it on? Like, let's go. Cause look, once you get off this call, the reality hits, right? The bills, the family, the drama that other people try to put on you, right? So you gotta like put up the shield, right? The shield is getting on the calls, is getting in the right energy to you, right? So we're gonna end the call on that high note. Appreciate you guys for all being here. Jonathan, thank you. Brent, thank you, bro. And everybody on here. Let's pack it out this week on all of our opportunity calls. Let's pack out the next Sunday market outlook call. Let's be on the live sessions. Like, let's just give it what we got. And if you do that, if you give it what you got, you're unstoppable. So much love, guys. Appreciate y'all. Hope you have an amazing rest of your night. And let's run it up.